Justin Blargen, Marketing Manager here at Legrand, and I'm going to go over, introduce our company a little bit for you guys, right into it. So as you can see the beautiful faces over there, and up here. We got everyone here. A lot closer. Okay, perfect. All right, thanks everyone. All right, so I'm going to go right into it. So who is Legrand? So we are a global company based out of France, but we're also a $6.7 billion publicly traded company. Products sold in over 180 countries, and we're actually in about 90 of those countries. So we're a pretty large organization and company. Going into that though, Ryan and I are from the North and Central America division of Legrand. So we are the largest division of Legrand globally. We also have about $2.4 billion in sales in 2018. Most of our manufacturing is based out of the U.S., and we'll show you some of those manufacturing locations here. So as you can see, we have a number of offices and manufacturing locations within the U.S. itself. We do have some other global presences that support our infrastructure and support our manufacturing globally. This is just a look at our infrastructure or manufacturing that supports our U.S. operations. As a company, Legrand is completely global, so Legrand itself has manufacturings in all those other countries that we were talking about earlier. So really a global footprint, especially here in the U.S. We have a number of manufacturing. So what do we manufacture? So you may have heard of Legrand. If you haven't heard of it from the data infrastructure side before, you may have heard of it from our electrical and wiring systems. So we're in Home Depot, we're in Lowe's, we have light switches, we have home automation, we have a lot of products that you may interact with on a daily basis. So that's part of our electrical and wiring systems. We also have a huge AV division. So you might recognize Mid-Atlantic, Chief, Daylight, they do screen projectors. So there's a lot of products you may recognize there, but we are here from the Data, Power, and Control division of Legrand. So there's also some names there, Raritan, Server Technology, Starline, some major power distribution brands within the organization. Then we also have some connectivity with Ortronics, some cabinets and with Electrac and AFCO, and again, Quicktron with connectivity as well. So on the right-hand side, then, we just finish off with some building control systems as well as some light fixtures. So Legrand really is a global company, and this is just the U.S. based organization that we have. So what do we sell as part of the Data, Power, and Control division? And specifically, what kind of data infrastructure products do we sell? So here you can see, and you can see actually all of this within our booth at 2605 when you're done with this presentation. We have freestanding racks and cabinets, cable management, accessories, wall mount cabinets. I won't read it all, but basically the physical infrastructure, data connectivity, power distribution, and thermal management you need for your network. So we're a one-stop shop, really, and anything that is really starred is actually featured in the Cisco campus and the Network Operations Center and branch. So we have our Air Containment, and Brian will get into a little bit about that later. But now I want to hand it over to Ryan to talk a little bit about those products that are featured in the actual Network Operations Center and more.
Thanks, Justin. So David and I are going to get into a lot of details on a lab that we're building in Salt Lake City with Cisco, Legrand, and Cisco. But before I get into that, to give you a better idea of the stuff that the solutions that we manufacture, I'm going to take you through stuff that you'll see here at Cisco Live. So we collaborate a lot with Cisco. So we're in, as Justin mentioned, we're in the campus. So we're part of the infrastructure that they're using to run the show. So I'll take you through these photos. What you'll see there is the Network Operations Center, which I'm assuming you've all been by at this point. So what they're using, what solutions we provided Cisco in there is we built up a cold aisle containment system. So it's a little unique because they only have one row of cabinets. So what we needed to do is we needed to build a floor standing wall, containment wall, and then we tied it with horizontal panels that tie into the cabinets. And we built end of row doors for them. We gave them a clear plexi panel, so it was a nice viewing window so they could show off all the nice Cisco systems inside the NOC. Also supporting the NOC in there is we have rack mount UPSs at the bottom of those cabinets. Also all the copper and fiber cabling and connectivity that's running the NOC is from Legrand. Moving over to the right, if you go to the branch location in the Cisco campus, you'll see our Mighty Mo 20 4-post rack, our channel rack, kitted out with our vertical cable management systems, Also our copper connectivity panels at the top with our cabling, as well as our rack mount UPS that's at the bottom, which you can also see in greater detail there at the bottom photo. And then moving over to the right from there, you see that vertical wall mount, and then also below that there's a swing out wall mount. So last year, Cisco and us came together and we wanted to showcase what does an IDF infrastructure actually look like that's running Cisco Live, the network. So what we put together was an intelligent wall mount solution with Cisco. So it's we put together a turnkey wall mount cabinet for Cisco. So it's a Legrand wall mount powered by a Legrand Raritan PDU. The controller in the PDU is running the intelligent door lock handle that's on there, so it can be remotely locked and unlocked from the GUI interface and Power IQ from us, and then also you can unlock it with a smart card reader. Also running off the PDU is a temperature humidity sensor, a water leak detection sensor. There's also contact sensors on the doors, so we know when the cabinet's open and when it's closed. Also featured in the cabinet at the top there, you'll see our connectivity panel. So all the copper and connectivity and cabling in the cabinet. We provided Cisco, and then also there's active cooling in that cabinet. So we had that on showcase with Cisco last year at Cisco Live Orlando. This year you can see it again in our booth. And then below that is a wall mount that is at Cisco in the Cisco campus, inside the Cisco campus area. And that's a swing out wall mount, so it's a 12U box. It's got a plexi front door. Also, the whole cabinet can swing off the wall, so you can have complete access to the back of the cabinet. Also in there is our cabling infrastructure, and it's being run off a Legrand PDU. Above that is a snapshot. That's actually from Legrand booth. Our cabinets are not in the Cisco campus, but you can come by our booth and see our cabinets. And then there's another view, which you can also, is of our intelligent PDUs, which you'll find in the Mighty Mo cabinet in the branch section in Cisco's campus. And it's also a really good photo of that honeycomb pattern of our Mighty Mo 20 racks. So what that allows you to do is you can see how we're managing the cable front to rear. What's really nice about it is that honeycomb pattern is part of the rack itself. So you don't need to buy front to rear cable management accessories. Depending on the amount of cable you have, you may not even require vertical management at the front of the cabinet. A little bit more detail on the NOC. I kind of cover this, but this gives you a good example. So before we ever deployed anything and shipped material, we worked with Cisco and we pre-engineered the containment solution. So I was here last week with Justin, and actually David helped us, as well as Jay Grasso, who's with Legrand. He was here earlier in the show, but he's not here with us right now. We built up the NOC last week with Cisco. So that gives you a good example from an engagement standpoint. We pre-engineer and validate everything before our customers actually deploy it, so they know everything actually works together. And then this is a deeper dive into the wall mount cabinet. Again, another engagement up front. We put together the full CAD design, modeling in Cisco's equipment with our equipment. So it was a pre-engineered solution for that simplified edge box, that IDF showcase that we did last year with them. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to David, and he's going to start to get us into the Salt Lake City lab.
So my name is David Hickman. I'm with the Services Worldwide Activation Team, which is part of that big monster organization that Cisco calls the Global Partner Organization. Sure, we have partners here. So I'm out there to work for you. I'm actually part of a larger group inside of that called the Solution Architecture and Engineering Team. And most recently, as Ryan mentioned, I'm part of the network NOC team here at Cisco Live, helping bring up this network and build the data center and run the SDA that's running in the Marriott Center next door. What does SWAT do, right? So SWAT, we are an organization tasked to help partners enable on new products, specifically right now, new enterprise products. So DNA Center, SDA Assurance, and now SD-WAN. Part of that, we help partners build out their demo capability in their own labs and be able to help enable partners as well by training their engineers with post-sales capability, right? Help them make sure that they're up on top of the most latest and greatest Cisco products. And once a partner is SWAT certified, we help them actually go out and do some POVs and actually customer deployments at times in a mentored fashion. And we've been able to do that with the top 80 partners in the world right now. Got them SWAT certified. which is impressive, but we only have 8 people worldwide that's on this team, so we needed to find a better way to do that, more efficient, so we can get to a deeper depth as these Cisco partners, help them get on these products. So as part of that, we came up with a new option, a new way for Cisco to build labs for partners to have remote access, and that's called SWAT IBN Activation and Adoption Lab. Now that's a lot, so of course we're Cisco, we're going to put an acronym on it, and it's IBNAL. And no matter what it sounds like, you can't pick this up at IKEA, but we're going to give partners access to this. We're going to provide partners with a new type of lab that Cisco hasn't done in the past. Normally, if you wanted day 0 hands-on access, you had to travel, get trained. It's expensive. You got engineers out of the field. That's not billable hours. So we wanted to be able to come up with something that's flexible, on-demand, day 0 type labs with remote access. This sounds all great. Assist partners with activation and adoption, right? Help train those engineers to be able to do that. A more effective and more cost-effective way to do that. Provide partners also with a sandbox environment so they can go in and test it here, right? Not on a production network. Keep those safe out there. We're going to have a number of scenarios. Initially, we're going to start with 1, but we've got about 10 or 12 that are mapped out. And some of those will be able to be modified by the partner to test certain things. So you've got a customer out there that's on DNA Center 1.1. You want to test the upgrade to 1.4. We're going to encourage you to load that up and do that. Not only that, we're going to allow you to come up with your own kind of scenarios. So we're building something that's pretty complex, and we're trying to keep it as real world as possible with customers, all that. And with that, we're going to have some challenges, right? Challenges with the mic, too. In our data center in Salt Lake, we've got some challenges that we needed someone to help us with. So with that, this is our lab topology. This is initial topology, and you see it's very complex. We have green field, we got brown field. We got things in here that the business unit says aren't best practice, right? So which means you're going to see it in the actual field, right? So we have daisy chained edges, we have green field, brown field. We have a lot of complexity here, but with that we had some challenges. We needed to build multiple pods that are very complex in a very dense network topology in a very, very small space. We also need to keep them uniform from the lab in Salt Lake to the one we're building in India and the one where we're going to build other places as well. And then we needed, as part of our agreement with Cisco InfoSec, because we're doing something new, they didn't necessarily trust us what we're doing. We had to bring in a big fat internet pipe to support this. They said we had to restrict physical access to those cabinets, right? They don't trust us from linking that internet back over the corporate network. And we also needed power management monitoring because we needed that partner if they lock out that switch, right? Because if they break it, right? So I'm an engineer. I like to break things. That's how I learn, right? So we encourage you to break it. We need you to be able to remotely power cycle that switch if you do that, or that router. We also need to monitor that. But, we're going to have a lot of equipment. We need environmentally. We need temperature, humidity, things like that. And then we need to keep the management from becoming a cable nightmare. And this is one of the things that's near and dear to my heart because I hate managing labs that turn into a spaghetti factory, right? We've all been there. We've all seen that. With that, we had all these challenges. And so I needed to find a partner that could help me come around these challenges. So we engineered Salt Lake Lab, and we needed to not only be that, we needed to be a sales thing. And so we wanted to show the latest and greatest. And I know Chuck kind of stole my thunder a little bit earlier, but this is an actual router that we have in the Salt Lake Lab. And it was actually the first piece of equipment I mounted because I love this thing. Actually had my hands on these in my early networking career, but those are knuckle biters. But anyway, sorry, challenges here. These are some pictures of the lab where it looks like now. And Legrand was able to come in and help us build a demo center, as well as some equipment out to host our IoT stuff out in the sales rooms. But here's really part of our challenges. So we had a very small room that was designed 17 years ago when we moved into this space for a completely different set of equipment that Cisco sold at the time. We didn't do UC then. We didn't do servers then. We didn't do any of this. So it was a bunch of routers and switches at the time, and we come out with a lot bigger, heavier iron that needs better cooling. So We had some architectural challenges, we had some space challenges, and Legrand was able to help us come up with a design that worked both with our architectural challenges, as you can see with the architectural columns in the room, to build a cold aisle containment that can contain the amount of heat that we're going to produce in very dense networking environments, as well as help us organize this and keep that cable management to a minimum. We color-coded the cabinets. Each cabinet has different Ethernet color code, both cables and jacks. And I'll tell you, I've terminated a lot of cables over the years, and I've never seen a better system to do this. I even had one of their VPs and a sales guy and my 16-year-old daughter helping me with this, and they all got it within a few minutes.
You can't screw it up.
Yeah. And if you terminate cables, you know those punches and you always get those little blisters from turning your finger? None of that. It's great. But I'll let Ryan tell you a little bit more about the solution, but...
Yeah, thanks, Dave. If you go back one slide, there was a couple of photos that may highlight some of the stuff that we were doing. So some of the challenges that Dave had mentioned, one, he mentioned a lot of network density in the cabinets. So what is shown here, what you can see is vertical cable management in the cabinet. What you can't quite see just while the photo was taken is we've also given him horizontal cable management at the front of the bag. So that vertical cable management is also at the front of the bag. So we gave him vertical, horizontal, and then we also gave him front to back cable management. So he's got cable troughs and cable fingers to have all that cable managed properly, vertically, horizontally, and front to back inside the cabinets. Security features, like he mentioned, so our cabinets have the same ones that are in the wall mount that I had mentioned, so our intelligent door lock handles, the cabinet, which are run off our PDUs, our Raritan PDUs. The Raritan PDUs are also, like the wall mounts here, they're running temperature humidity sensors. Here they're running a smoke sensor. They're also running a rope leak detection, water detection rope sensor. And then, so that's from a cabinet standpoint. And I guess from a high level, the infrastructure outside of the room UPS in this room, all the other data infrastructure in David's lab is manufactured by Legrand, and he worked with one of our one team, and we put it all together for him, which we'll get into a little bit later in the slide. A couple other photos when it comes to the density is David couldn't burn up U-space with a bunch of different patch panel, like a copper patch panel, a fiber patch panel. So what he's able to do with our system is he's got copper and fiber in one patch panel. Also, he already mentioned the challenges which we have in the next slide around aisle containment, which I'll show you in just a second here. And then from a wall mount standpoint, like David had mentioned, what they're doing at this site is they're demoing solutions for their customers. And you'll see it in the Cisco campus. You can see their industrial switches, which are not rack mount. So what we're able to do with our vertical wall mount system is you can mount non-rack mount equipment right on the back panel, which he's able to demonstrate to his customers with our wall mount. So, David, if you go to the next slide, there's a couple other photos I'd want to show. He already mentioned the cabling and connectivity. So he bought rock boxes of copper cable for every color. Every server cabinet's its own dedicated color, going back to 2 network cabinets. We helped him. We went and we ran the cable. We cut it, like he mentioned. We terminated. The termination is it's foolproof. You can't screw it up, and it's very fast. Also shown there is another challenge he has is Cisco needs their network, the infrastructure to support the network today and the network of tomorrow. So what we provided him was fiber connectivity that can handle 400 gig traffic. So he's ready to go once they're able to start to deploy that stuff into his lab.
And can I jump in here? One thing I was really excited about is we have obviously a range of network equipment going in here. We have Nexus 9Ks and we have our new Catalyst 9400s in here, but that poses a problem. The Nexus breathes front to back because it's designed to be in data center, but the Nexus 9400, it's a left-right breather, right? So they actually gave us cabinets with a modular system that can baffle the air and change a Nexus 9400 from left to right to front-back airflow. And it's so simple that I did it without reading any of the instructions. So great little solution. If you're going to put a side flow breathing switch into a data center, it's a fabulous solution.
Yeah, I think you and I rack those switches up and we put the baffles in under 20 minutes, probably.
Yeah.
And then the last photo I'd like just to highlight, so it's our Flex containment solution. It's the same containment that you'll see over at the NOC. It's standard product, but it's very flexible, so we're able to get around unique challenges like horizontal structural beams inside the building. And this is not, as you can see, it's not a traditional cold aisle. It's just, like the knock, it's a single row of cabinets. So we had to come up with a way to give them cold aisle containment. They have a slab floor. It's going to be an open ceiling. The way that they have the pods set up, they had to set it up to maximize their floor space. We had to go with a single row and then a back row. So we really had to contain the cold air rather than do hot aisle containment. And just the flexibility of the solution, standard product you can cut and get around unique challenges with. And then just the last bullet, like I had mentioned, David, and I know you'll get into it, is just the fact that you could call, rather than dealing with 12 vendors on building out his lab, he called one team. And
besides managing this data center build out, I have a full-time day job doing what I do, so I didn't want to have to call one vendor for this and then make sure that PDU hangs in that cabinet and these patch panels work for that. I needed to be able to have that, what we like calling the IT industry, the one throat to choke, and Legrand was the most complete company that I could go to for everything I needed. And they did all the engineering, design, layout, and everything that I needed to do and took that off my plate. It was great.
So I'm good if you want, you go.
So Salt Lake City Demo Center, we have the plans. This is going to be opening in July 2019. At that point, it'll be open for Cisco employees, partners to be able to have it as for both for internal and external training, data center walkthroughs, as well as being a demo center for Cisco data center and as well as Legrand Center. Again, just to kind of summarize, we have. I'll let Ryan talk to this one. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Dave and I have been kind of talking about it. So it's really the fact that we're a turnkey. Why does Cisco work with Legrand and for these type of projects is we're a turnkey manufacturer. We manufacture best in breed infrastructure for their data infrastructure, and we give them a simple, just the ease of doing business. We simplify things for them, but we also pre-engineer, give them fully validated systems, and basically, like you mentioned, I mean, we took the infrastructure portion of the project off your plate. Yeah. And I would say from a Legrand standpoint, we really appreciate the opportunity to work with David and Cisco. We have showcases all around the world where we demo our equipment. This is the first time we've had an opportunity to work with a partner like Cisco to be able to work together, create a showcase. We're learning a lot on what Cisco and where they're going. So we're using that to help adapt us make sure our infrastructure is always ready for what's coming next in the industry. And there's no one better than Cisco to do that.
So if we have any questions.